Today we are continuing our work with two-step equations, focusing on multiplication and subtraction today. So we are going to apply what we have previously worked with the multiplication and addition equations, and this time we are just going to be working with subtraction as well. So in this first example, we have -10 minus 4x equals 2. So our goal is the same, which is to get x isolated by itself on one side of the equation and everything else on the other side. So in this case, we are trying to get this by itself. So the first thing we need to undo is this -10. And so the opposite of -10 would be to add 10. So we are going to add 10 to both sides of the equation. So when this is eliminated, you have to be really careful and think about and look at what's left. So when that is gone, you have to realize that there is not just the 4x, but there's also the sign in front of it that is left. So there's now a -4x that we have to bring down. So we have -4x equals 2 plus 10 is 12. And then we still have the multiplication of 4, so we are going to divide both sides of the equation by our coefficient, and our coefficient in this case is -4, so we are going to divide by -4. So x equals 12 divided by -4 is -3. We can still go through and check our work to make sure that we worked this equation out correctly. So we can plug our value in for x into the equation. So -10 minus 4, our x value we found to be -3 equals 2. Order of operations states to multiply first, so I'm going to bring down my -10, and we have a -4 times a -3, which would give us a +12. And -10 plus 12 is 2. So 2 equals 2. That checks, so our value for x is correct. 2x minus -3 equals -5. So we spent a lot of time with our work of integers identifying that when we have this minus negative sign right next to each other, that this is the same thing as 2x plus 3 equals -5. So in this case, we are undoing this addition of 3. So we would subtract 3 from both sides. So we are left with 2x equals, and -5 minus 3 is -8. We need to undo the multiplication of 2, so we are going to divide by 2. So x equals -8 divided by 2 is -4. When we check our work, so 2 times -4 minus -3 equals -5. 2 times -4 is -8. We know that minus -3, we can go ahead and change that to +3. And -8 plus 3 is -5. And -5 equals -5, so our solution checks. If we have -34 equals -5x minus 4, so we need to undo this subtraction of 4, so we are going to add 4 to both sides. -34 plus 4 is -30 equals, and so we're left with -5x. We need to undo that multiplication, so we are going to divide. We're dividing by our coefficient of -5. Negative 30 divided by negative 5 is a positive 6. And we're left with x, so x equals 6. So when we check our answer, so we have negative 34 equals negative 5 times 6 minus 4. Negative 5 times 6 is negative 30. And we're combining negatives, so negative 30 and negative 4 would give us a value of negative 34. So our third one checks. All right, one more. Negative 29 equals negative 6y minus negative 7. So once again, we have this minus negative. So my biggest piece of advice is to go ahead and change that to an equation with addition. So minus negative 7, so we'll change that to plus 7. So then we recognize that if we have plus 7, we are going to be subtracting 7 from both sides of the equation. So negative 29 minus 7 is negative 36. We are left with negative 6y on the right side of the equation. So then we need to divide by our coefficient, in this case is negative 6. Negative 36 divided by negative 6 is a positive 6 equals y, or y equals 6. And just for safe measure, I'll plug that in and make sure it works. So negative 6 times 6 is negative 36. I can go ahead and change this minus negative 7 to a positive 7. And negative 36 plus 7 does agree with the left side of the equation, and we get negative 29, so that works. All right, so on the bottom of your note sheet there are 4 examples or 4 practice problems for you to try on your own. So on a separate sheet of paper, I want you to work out those 4 problems, and when you are finished, then I want you to push play on the video to reveal the answers. So right now you should push pause on the video, work out those 4 problems on your notes sheet, and then push play when you're finished to find out how you did. Okay, so the first equation, so if you had 16 equals 5w minus 9, the value for w is 5. On the next one, negative 8m minus 12 equals 20. So in solving for m, get m equals negative 4. And the next one, negative 4 minus 11g. So we should have gotten a value of g to be negative 2. And lastly, the value of b is also negative 2. So if you got all 4 of these correct, then you are ready to move on to your assignment. And if you made any errors in your 4 practice problems, then you need to go back and find out where your errors are so that your answers match these answers. And then you are ready for your assignment. Good job today.